the sequencing the human genome would have been useless without the ability to share and analyze the huge amounts of information that are encoded in our genomes. And so Marc and his new company, DNAStack, are opening the hatch or developing the apps to access this personalized information in our genomes. And he's going to come up and tell you why and how he's doing this. Thank you, Marc.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here and to tell you a little bit about how we're trying to develop an internet for genomics. So this is me. My name is Marc. I went to high school and graduate school right here in Toronto, and went on to develop a company called DNAStack. And I also work for the Global Alliance for Genomics and Health, which is also headquartered in Toronto. And I stayed here because there's a lot of brilliant minds in Toronto, Ontario, and Canada that are working on genomics. It's a really great place to do this kind of work. So this is my best friend, Dan. He has cystic fibrosis, which is a recessive disorder, which means that you have to have 2 copies of the so-called broken gene in order to have cystic fibrosis. Delta F508 is the name of the mutation that he's inherited. It's actually not, it's pretty prevalent actually. 1 in 30 Caucasians have this mutation. But Dan was unfortunate enough to inherit 2 copies, one from his mom, one from his dad, neither of which have this disorder. And coincidentally, Dan's actually a twin. He's not an identical twin, and his sister does not have cystic fibrosis. So this disease causes Dan to have sticky mucus, which affects his digestive system, which means that he can eat almost absolutely everything. So this is like a casual breakfast for Dan. But an unfortunate side effect that his lungs are affected as well. And so Dan has undergone 2 double lung transplants in his life. He's a real hero, and he's doing really, really well. So just a couple weeks ago, we celebrated his 14th lungs anniversary, we call it. It's 14 years since he had his first double lung transplant. So in order to treat patients like Dan, it's really important for us to understand the genome. And so in the last 10 years, there's undergone a genomic revolution where genome sequencing has become 1 million times cheaper. And that means that we can now sequence a lot of people. So it's expected that there are 2 billion people that will have their genome sequenced. And it's expected that there will be exabytes of data. So not gigabytes, not petabytes, but exabytes of data. And that's more than the data that's uploaded onto social media sites like YouTube. So you could imagine the kind of amounts and volumes of data that we're having to deal with. And we think that just like YouTube and Facebook have revolutionized the way that we interact with the people online, we think that sharing genomic information can have a similar impact for how we can treat people with genetic disease. So really, I stole a screen cap from the video because this really captures what we're trying to do. Sharing is really the essence to identifying and curing patients with genetic disease because genomics is a comparative science. The only way that we know how to identify the cause of a genetic disease is by pooling data together and understanding those unique genetic markers that are indicative of someone's disease. So what we're trying to do is develop sorry, it's not progressing. What we find an issue with pooling data together is that people speak different languages in genomics. Okay, so really one of the essential problems is that we really need to construct an internet for genomics. We really can't have Canada not being able to speak to other countries. We need to be able to assemble data into a pool. And so just like the internet, can we go forward? Which has concepts of HTML and HTTP, which you might have heard of. You may not understand that this is happening under the hood, but there are standards that have been developed for the construction of the internet that make it possible for us to share this wealth of information. And also we have incredible tools like Google, which will allow us to search across all the web content that's made available on the web. So in much the same way, what we're trying to do with the Global Alliance for Genomics and Health and at my company is to develop an internet for genomics where genomic data can transfer freely between organizations so that we can make discoveries. And also, we need essentially the Google for genomics. We need the ability for researchers to be able to search for genetic mutations in patients that are relevant to their study. So this is something that we've developed. Really proud of our team. It's kind of the first incarnation of a search engine, a global search engine for genetic mutations, which allows organizations that are sequencing patients to be able to share with the world the genetic mutations that they've observed. But with great power comes great responsibility, not to be corny, but sharing genetic information implies that we're sharing with the world that which makes people fundamentally unique, right? So DNA is your personal ID card, and unlike your internet account, you can't just change your password if someone's discovered it. So it's really, really important that we take the appropriate precautions in terms of privacy and security. It's also really important that we educate and outreach on the importance of DNA and really preach that knowledge is power. If you know your genomic sequence, you can take proactive methods to improve your health. And finally, we need important policies that proactively will protect us from misuse of genomic information. So my opinion is that precision medicine is extremely powerful. It will rapidly accelerate with the development of Internet for Genomics, but there are really important challenges that we need to face along the way, but they're definitely worth it. I think the benefits of sharing genetic information far outweigh the costs of not sharing. So thanks.